But if you have someplace to go, you need to go this absolute second.
Andrew was here 30 years ago this month. One of the strongest hurricanes to hit our state would forever change the landscape of southeast Florida. Hurricane Andrew was a small but ferocious Category 5 hurricane that roared ashore with winds near 160 miles per hour, strong enough to thrust 2x4s through trees. The storm also exposed serious flaws in the way we built our homes. The destruction from Andrew eventually led to a total transformation in Florida's building codes.
All right, here we go now with Tropical Storm Andrew. Let's go ahead and locate it for you so you can plot it.
Meteorologist Brian Norcross covered Andrew for WTVJ in Miami.
The worst does happen. It's really hard to imagine any windstorm being worse than Hurricane Andrew. It was like a top-end tornado, but 20 miles wide.
4 days before Andrew made landfall, the system didn't even have a circulation. But in the next few days, Andrew rapidly intensified and made landfall over southern Dade County during the early morning hours of Monday, August 24th. Then it crossed over the southern tip of the peninsula back into the warm Gulf waters, where it re-strengthened into a major hurricane before making landfall over central Louisiana. Forecasting hurricanes was a lot more challenging back in 1992.
We really didn't think you could forecast where a hurricane was going to go more than about a day or two in advance. So the average error, for example, 3 days out, was from Miami to Jacksonville.
That's about 300 miles. Now fast forward 30 years to the present day. The average track error 3 days out is about 100 miles. That's the same distance from Tampa to Cape Coral.
Since 1992, we've made massive leaps in our ability to forecast hurricanes. And a big part of that leap is an increase in computer power that allows us to quickly and accurately model the atmosphere. Let me take you back to 1992. This is one of the charts that they used to forecast where Hurricane Andrew would go. Now, typically, there's Andrew. When you have a storm around here, a lot of times it turns north and back out to sea. But Andrew was different. And the reason why is because of this area of high pressure along the southeastern coast. Models continue to show that getting stronger. So with a stronger high, Andrew was forced farther south and west, putting Miami in the crosshairs.
The hurricane forecast we have today, those 5-day forecast cones, didn't exist back in 1992. For one, our capabilities for weather graphics were very limited. But in the days leading up to Andrew,
Tomorrow, Andrew would be somewhere in here, Friday here, Saturday here.
Television audiences in Miami saw the very first version of what would eventually evolve into the 5-day forecast cone we use today.
The advancement in technology is a big reason why forecasts have improved so much. For example, Hurricane Hunter aircrafts like this now use sensors called microwave radiometers that can incredibly estimate a storm's strength based on how much foam is created on top of the sea. Another big improvement since Hurricane Andrew, weather satellites. And the newest generation of weather satellites allow us to track storms in high definition with much more detail and data. All this data gets fed into our forecast models, which gives us a much clearer picture of where a storm will go and how strong it could get.
Andrew ended up being the strongest type of storm on Earth, a Category 5 hurricane. And as we look back on the 30-year anniversary, one of the biggest lessons learned is making sure we're always prepared for the worst. Because as Andrew taught us, sometimes the worst can happen. In Lee County, meteorologist Jason Dunning, NBC2.